Well, hey y'all, happy Monday. Today, we're talking all about sunflowers. So stick around and check out our little sunflower harvest and the process that we go through to get to use our sunflower seed. So I'm about to harvest this sunflower head, and it's got, if I hold it to you this way, you can see that a lot of the flowers have fallen off, or they will just knock off. I've checked a couple of the seeds and they're really plump. And then the next indicator, and I'll show you in the backyard something that's not ripe yet, but the fact that the back of this is yellow and turning brown, all the yellow around the flower is gone. Those are our indicators that this is ready to be harvested. Now this head, it looks like a different type of sunflower. These don't look as though they're as full, but it's still giving us the indicators back here, turning brown and yellow, that it's ready to harvest. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut these, and then we're gonna hang them up to dry for a couple days. I'm just gonna, even though it bends right here, I'm gonna cut it more down here so that it's got a little bit of room to be able to hang, because we just want it to dry out for a couple days. It has that awesome sunflower smell to it, the seed smell. So we're gonna go ahead and take that one too. And I've got one down here and it did its little best to make sunflowers. We're gonna leave the stalks here to dry, and then these stalks will actually be really good friends of us in the garden. We'll be able to use these for trellises and stakes. So I'm just gonna let those dry there, and I'll probably take these away once I get these hung up. So the next time we catch up with you, we'll be popping all these seeds out and getting them ready to roast. This sunflower that's back here in the backyard, you can see that it is still doing its work. A lot of the flower parts here are still really green. The seeds look like they're filling in well, but that's the point. You if you want sunflower seeds that are fat and plump, you've got to let them go ahead and ripen up and do all their business on the plant. And when we look at the back, this is still really nice and green. It's just barely starting to get yellow over here. So maybe another week or two and this one will be ready to go, and everybody will be happy because it stays perpetually in our walkway right now. But we like that, or I do, because with it facing down, there's not a good way for a bird to come in and snack on my seeds. So that's an example of one that's not quite ready to harvest. The first one that we're going to de-seed is actually going to be our black and white striped head. So these little things right here are a lot more prominent when the flower is growing, and a lot of people might wonder, like, why did my seeds not have any seeds in them? And that sometimes is a result of a lack of pollination, because the reason why the bees like landing on here is because there's all kinds of yummy pollen in here. So once you're ready to harvest, you can just come along here. Now, we took this off on Friday, and so it's been outside drying for a couple days. But once it's good and dry, it's really easy to just come in like that and rake off those little seeds. Now, the seeds that we're opening up here are more like the type of seeds that we're used to eating, and they're pretty full for the most part. This wasn't my most successful plant, and I'll chat a little bit more in a minute, but these are some pretty good looking seeds. And so what we'll do is we'll soak these overnight in some salt water, and then we've done this before, so we all have our favorite seasonings that we'll do. and we'll come up with which ones we want to use, and then we'll season them and we'll roast them in the oven. And I'll put down in the description the time frames for how long we roast those. So I've done about this much of this one, and I really want to chat a little bit more about my fat head. So I'm going to put this one down and finish this one another time, and we can chat more about the big one that I want to do with you. This sunflower is a little bit different than the normal types of sunflowers. I don't remember specifically what type of sunflower this is. I had some different seed packs from some seed swaps, and I was really just trying to get any of my seeds to produce for me. And so this is one that I planted, and it did really, really well. The big difference from what we're used to is that these actually created black sunflower seeds. Now, they're huge, fat seeds, and they smell just like sunflower seeds that we're used to eating, and I've tasted them. They actually taste like the sunflower seeds that we're used to experiencing, but the difference is that these seeds are typically cultivated for bird seeds. They're supposed to have a thinner shell on them, which makes it easier for birds to crack open and digest the seeds. Now, an interesting thing is I bet these black seeds will probably become the next superfood because they're full of so many amazing nutrients, and they're really high in that good fat content. So I'm pretty sure that's why, well, I'm not pretty sure, but I'm certain that that's one of the reasons why the birds really enjoy them so well. So a lot of times you might, if you have a bird feeder in your yard, you might have these black seeded sunflowers come up in or around your bird feeder because the process of nature is taking place at your bird feeder. But you can tell that's a pretty fat sunflower seed that came out of there, and compared to probably what's in one of these black and white striped seeds, they're much plumper seeds over here. So you definitely could eat these seeds. I'm kind of on the fence. I'm thinking about maybe, I don't really feed birds, so I'm thinking about saving some for seed. And I bet you if I ask my husband, he's gonna say that we're gonna eat them because he's willing to eat whatever. So it's not to say that you couldn't eat these seeds. They're just not typically cultivated specifically for that. Now, I am doing some research on the different types of seeds that you could grow or harvest for your own nutritional value. These black seeded sunflowers are actually really exceptional when it comes to growing microgreens because they have so much vitamin E, it's magnesium. I mean, it's just off the charts how much good stuff is packed into this plant. And so you can get all those super benefits by actually growing super greens, or not super greens, by growing microgreens. And that's actually something I'm going to get a little bit more exploratory into as we go into the winter, and I've got a little bit more time on my hands, is exploring growing some microgreens. So in a tray, you grow your little microgreens, which essentially means you're growing a bunch of seedlings. But before those seedlings develop into anything, you just snip them off and you eat them in a salad or you eat them on a sandwich and you go on with life. Now, I'll be totally honest with you. I really thought that this sunflower here was plenty dry. It's been hanging out outside for a couple of days, and I just brought it in last night. But when I'm sitting here talking to you on the camera, I can feel that the back of this petal is softer than I really want it to be in terms of dryness, and these seeds should just be flaking right out like these are over here. So maybe because this one was a smaller plant, because it's totally dry on the back, it doesn't have that kind of wet, cold feeling that this one does. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish processing these seeds because those are the ones that we're for sure gonna snack on. I'm gonna let this one go back outside and dry a little bit more. I wonder if maybe our cooler nights maybe kept it a little slow on the drying, but we're gonna give it another shot, and then I might, like I said, I'm probably gonna leave it up to my husband, because if I do, it means that they're for sure gonna get eaten. But if not, like I said, I'm probably gonna save some for seeds. And if I was ready and really well experienced, I would probably set off on growing some microgreens with them. So I hope that you enjoyed this little foyer into harvesting sunflower seeds. Now this is a pretty minuscule harvest for me, and I just haven't found a very good place in my yard to grow them. One time I grew a head that was this big, and we cut it, we dried it, we soaked it in the salt water, and we roasted them in the oven, and it was an awesome treat. We did a couple of different flavors. We did a barbecue one, we did a garlic one, we did just a regular salt one, and everybody loved them. But since then, this is the biggest size head that I've been able to come up with it. And I think a lot of that is just where the sun's at in my yard and the places that I've tried to grow it. One more thing that I'll tell you about sunflower seeds before I leave is that in addition to, I think, something that has to do with their fatness, you know, how much seed, between the pollination, that is a huge part of it. I think that another really important thing for you to know about sunflowers is that they are a big, heavy feeder. So a couple of times I did get some manure, some cow manure. It's a really good one for sunflowers. I got a couple of rounds dumped on the ground and watered into that. So that's something I'll definitely encourage you to do. The gardeners that I learned from, they say that you can plant sunflowers all year round in Arizona. Some of the planting calendars that you look at right now might not tell you the same thing. And if you keep planting sunflowers and you don't notice that they're coming up, it could very well be that some of your bird friends are snacking on your seeds, because that little inside part of the seed, or that part that gives life to the new seedling, that's the part that is the yummiest for the little birds that are out there. So I hope you enjoyed our little foyer into harvesting some sunflower seeds, and let me know down below, have you ever grown sunflower seeds to actually eat the seeds, or have you mostly just grown sunflowers for the prettiness of them? And another thing I'll tell you is that I actually left the stalks for right now. The rest of the stalks of these sunflowers, they're in the ground right now, but in the next day or so, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna cut them down, and then I'll repurpose them, because the stalks are gonna be really hard and pretty tough. Like the bamboo poles that I buy. So by harvesting those and saving them, I'll have an additional free, if you will, stake or pole that I can use in my garden. And I see a lot of people do that. So in the end, the time and the effort that you put into a sunflower can reap you a hearty little snack, a stiff-legged stake, and some beauty along the way. If you've got some little baby squashes that have looked like this for about a week, they're not going to get any bigger. This means that they didn't get a good pollination, and so you can just go ahead and take them off the vine, because that will keep your plant from thinking that it's done, and it will also encourage your plant to go ahead and make some more. Well, thanks so much for tuning in today. I hope you have the best day ever, and thanks so much for stopping in whenever you get a chance.